Welcome to Literally Books, the podcast. I'm Lindsay.
My name is Magda.
And today we are continuing down our Oathbound journey with part 2.
Unstoppable.
Only spoilers ahead. If you haven't read this book and you want to read this book, this is not the episode for you. We're going to tell you everything.
Yeah, exactly. If you need a refresher, go check out our Legendborn and Bloodmarked crime session. And then we already covered the prologue on part 1 in a previous episode. So go check them out before you come here. And we'll see you later.
All right, should we start with a quick summary of what happens in this section?
Let's do it. Bree cements her relationship with the twins while on a scouting mission for information on Erebus' missing crown. The group goes to meet with an informant at a demon bar, the Rapscallion. While there, her suspicions of Erebus grows after learning that warlocks are trafficking root crafters in order for demons to feed on them. Erebus continues to push Bree to her limits and build her strength, and she begins to rebel, primarily by breaking through his office wards to steal something of value to offer the shadow Daisha, in exchange for more information on the missing crown.
The other characters have their own brushes with Deja in this section, including Valak and Mariah, who is impersonating Lucille as the Grande Dame, and Natasha. It is in this section when Natasha learns that Bree, the daughter of her childhood friend Faye, is also the scion of Arthur, as was her friend. She vows to protect Bree from Selwyn in his demonia.
Meanwhile, Nick, Will, and Lark run into Ava the Morgaine, who convinces Nick to go with her and leave Will and Lark behind. They reluctantly agree.
Bree and Zoe devise a plan to steal back Erebus' crown after learning from Deja it will be auctioned off at the Demon Mikhail's annual collector's ball. After securing an exclusive invite for her and Zoe, Bree is attacked while trying to steal the crown by a mysterious stranger.
Question mark? All right. I think you should start. What did you enjoy about this part?
Okay, so I think this is tough because this is like sort of the downbeat of the book. We're setting the tone for what's happening. But I was obsessed with the Rapscallion. Not the Rapscallion. Is it the Rapscallion? Deja. These meetings with Deja are... You're getting them in from different people's perspectives, and you're like, wait a second, they're all meeting Deja. Natazia's here. Like, Zoe and Bree are here. It's really exciting to be like, they are minutes apart from missing each other. And I just think, like, if you were watching this in a movie or a show, you'd be like, no, it'd be so exciting. And so that buildup, I think, worked really well for me. I found it really exciting.
I love that part too. I want to know more about Deja. She seems like a hilarious, evil person, and I'm here for it. She just seems like one of those, like, gets bored really easily, and I don't know. I'm here for the type of character. But yeah, I agree. I think that was my favorite part about it too. Is just like that they just missed each other really briefly. However, Natasha does see Bree, and she sees that there's something wrong obviously Natasha thinks that she doesn't remember her because she had mesmerized her when at the hospital when Bree's mom died. So Natasha is kind of like taken aback a little bit. We don't realize that it's Natasha. Do we realize that it's Natasha at this part?
You guess at it, but they don't tell you.
They don't tell you.
Because Bree just says, like, this woman is looking at me really strangely. And Natasha doesn't know until after this moment that Bree is the scion yet. So she's like, what is Bree doing in this bar?
Yeah. She just kind of sees her as her friend's daughter. And that's why, like, she looks at the twins and, like, can you guys protect her? Can you keep her safe? Like, she asked that for the twins, and it was like, yeah, what is wrong with you, crazy lady? So yeah, I just thought that it was kind of funny, just kind of seeing the dynamic and trying to see somebody that she doesn't know who she is, and like she's kind of looking out for her. But I don't know, I really enjoyed that part. The Deja part, it was just so fun. You're absolutely right about that.
I don't know if we mentioned too that Deja is a shade in the Shadow Court, so she's a really high level ranking person. That's how we meet her. I don't know if we said that during
we did not, and I think
there's so many characters.
Yeah, there's a lot
not
of
the
characters.
Night Court either, which is what I said in the. It's like, oh,
yeah. I'm kind of here for the Night Court. Honestly, I think that
Night
sounds
Court.
way better. So we kind of start seeing that the twins like really start warming up to Bree quite a bit with the excuse that they have to because like Erebus is gonna kill us. Again, that sibling dynamic comes through so much. It's just like, oh, my annoying little sister.
I guess I'll let her come.
Yeah, I have to. There's no other option. And I just love that so much. I just really love how the little trio are becoming like tighter together, and you can kind of see the relationship forming. And I'm just really happy that her group of friends is expanding and growing. It's not an static 5 friends and that's it. Like, I really love that Tracy did this. Like, she's actually expanding Bree's world and expanding her allies in a way. I just thought it was really sweet.
I know, and it's like in this conversation that we learn a lot more about, like Zoe and Brie get a lot closer, and there's a conversation where Zoe is like asking Brie what she's into sexually, and I thought that was really funny, and I liked that she was like, it's demon behavior. We want to know what's going on in your sex life. And then it's also in this conversation where Zoe says something along the lines of like, they're talking about the nature of evil, and I think that's like an important thing that keeps coming up is like, you know, demons are supposed to be evil. The shadow court is supposed to be evil, but you like see evil being done by everyone. And I think that's like a theme that keeps coming up is like, who is evil? And Zoe says, well, Cambians never ask me about whether or not my brother and I are identical or fraternal. Cambians never do this, do that. Humans ask me that. And you learn that she's sort of alluding to the fact that Zoe is trans and that humans are really not accepting of her. And it's this, I love that Tracy wrote that information in that way because it's not a central plot point. It's an insight into who Zoe is as a person. It doesn't come up again, but it sort of calls humans out for their stupidity on this subject. And I loved that.
It even catches Brie aback a little bit. Because at some point she's just like, yeah, I guess whatever you're into, like, it's fine. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like, I think honestly, I don't think from a Brie perspective, I don't even think she had thought about that very truly. Like, I think she's coming with us as the reader, kind of like, yeah, that's true. That's the case. Like, it doesn't matter what you're into. Like, it is what it is. You can,
or who you are.
Yeah. Like, it is what it is. So I really love that because it kind of puts Brie with us in that point of view as the reader, as we're kind of getting all that information.
And Brie and Zoe get really close really quickly. And you see that bond between them because they're sort of sharing vulnerabilities, which is what you need to build a friendship.
Yeah, love that. This is also like a really important scene too, because we kind of learn that the warlocks are taking root crafters against the will. And this is something that Brie becomes, I feel like she feels super powerless because she's not able to really do anything and interfere in trying to save this young girl that is being taken. And I can sense her frustration and everything and when she lets them go. But then this is when like she does something reckless, but she's like, I'm going to chase after the warlock. And I'm like, girl, you can't be chasing after, like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do once you get her? Like, then they're going to come get you. And I think Zoe runs after her and there's like, what can we do? They already took off in a car. Like, you're going to run. And then what am I going to tell Erebus? And once you get there, what's your plan? So I just thought it was kind of like, it just shows like, I feel like she felt so powerless at that moment that she's like overcompensating. I'm like, I'm going to take off after my own and do it. And she's like, no, you can't do that. Why are you doing this?
It's so hard because we were talking about this in episode 1 where like, I get it. I get that frustration of being like, Brie, no, like you have no plan here. You're definitely going to die. Like all this shit is going to happen because they just told her at the door, like, you cannot make any trouble here or you're going to lose the Pendragon necklace. We're going to kill you. Like we're going to do all these other things. And you're like, don't go after her. But like, and it's tough because Zoe is like, I hear you, but like what you don't even know where they went. Like, what are you going to do? But it's so back and forth for me because then I also feel like Brie has been put in a position for so long where she's like, if I don't do something, who will? Exactly. Like with the Order, all of those, like we all love Nick, but he just later dazed. He didn't engage with trying to like restructure their problematic nature until Brie was around. So I think that she really feels like if something's going to get done, it's got to get done by me. And you're like, right, but it's not in this moment. You're going to lose that battle. So I think it's tough because I get why she does it, but it's also really frustrating to read.
It is. And, you know, we also kind of get this beautiful moment between Zoe and Brie where like, she's like, they're just taking all these girls. Like, what are their parents going to think? Like, when she goes missing, like, people are going to be uprising. Yeah. And then they're like, no, because she's a missing Black girl. Like, the news don't cover this information. They don't really care about us. So no, they're doing this because they know that it's not going to get as much traction in the media or anywhere and nobody's going to ask questions. Yeah. And that, it broke my heart so much to kind of have that reality sink in, not just in the book, but also in real life, that commentary. It was just really heartbreaking. And I think it's why Brie pushes her like, that's going to be my new goal. I'm going to save these girls because nobody cares for them, but I do. I care for them and I want them to be home. And I feel like that was a good way for her to kind of take that information in. Let's make a plan. I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to get them back. And I love that side of her when she actually starts thinking of like, how can I fix it? I love that.
I agree. I love it too. Okay, do you want to move on to some of the other storylines like Lark and Nick and...
I know.
Oh, your baby boy, William.
My baby boy, William. We kind of start seeing a little bit of hints on this in Bloodmarked a little bit because William kind of stares a little too long at Lark a couple of times. But now we kind of start seeing in this book that something is afoot, and I'm so happy for them. Listen, I'm here for my good boy William and my Scottish boy Lark. Like he's Scottish, right? Yeah, he's Scottish. So you can kind of tell that William has also been struggling because he's a healer and he's the one that kind of takes care of everybody around him. He makes sure that Nick is fine. He makes sure that when Bree is hurt, like he tries to be there to kind of take care of her. And Lark very pointedly talks on like, who takes care of you? Like nobody's like looking out for your mental health. Who's taking care of you? Because everybody is struggling. And that's like a big theme of the book. And I think you mentioned this in one of our previous episodes. Everybody's struggling. Like nobody knows.
I mean, if that isn't a theme of everything.
Yeah, it's just everybody's struggling. And like Lark just very sweetly like takes care of him in a way. And at some point he calls him sweetheart. And I just thought that it was really sweet because it just reminded me, because even in William's previous relationship, that his previous partner had no idea of all of the things that he had to do, and he had to handle everything on his own as well. So I just really love the dynamic that now Lark is there and they can kind of help and take care of each other.
Yeah, this didn't occur to me until just now, but I think something that I also like in this section is there's a lot of male intimacy, and I feel like sometimes I was just thinking in my head like, oh, I hate when he calls him sweetheart, but I also think that like that's my own stuff. Like I don't like pet names. And it is important that we see these different kinds of male intimacy. Like obviously, William and Lark have a romantic relationship, but you also see a really intimate moment between Nick and William that like broke me, if I'm honest, where Nick just tells William like, I was abused as a kid as part of, in the name of training. Like I went through incredible abuse, not necessarily through Selwyn, but from these other people. And it's your cousin or your cousin Reese, who was also William's mentor as a healer, who fixed all of my concussions and broken bones. And Nick's immediate reaction is to be like, no, that couldn't have happened. Like Reese is a healer. There's no way that this is true. I don't see any evidence of this. I've healed you. And then he like pauses for a moment and he was like, no, I believe you. I'm just going to tell you I believe you. And it really like breaks Nick down a little bit to have someone just say like, I acknowledge this thing that you went through and I don't need evidence of it. I just am going to take you at your word. Mm-hmm. And I love that moment. It like really made me tear up.
Oh my, yeah. Like it's a very emotional piece. And again, it just goes back to like, everybody's struggling. And he's like, everybody has had so much traumas, like, or sweet little Bree, Nick, Sel, who needs a hug really bad. Oh my God. It's just, that's a whole theme here, but yeah, it was really sweet.
It's really beautiful.
Okay, we also kind of learned two main things that I kind of want to touch on. So the other one, we learned about how the demons procreate, I guess. It's a very technical word. But we do kind of learn like the demons, when they're in the human plane, they're not able to kind of, procreate or like, have babies
with each other.
Yeah. So what they do is like they can do it with a human, and they have to use something called the concubine, I think. Is that what they refer themselves as, the demons? And that's how they're actually able to get like the cambions and all of this type of things. So I kind of love, again, I really love when Tracy kind of gives us more like background information as to how everything is developing, the orders, how everything works. I really enjoy that. So it kind of gives us a little bit more background as to like, we learned that Zoe's and Elijah's father used to be a shade, and apparently that's like a really big deal. Like, oh my gosh, my father used to be part of the Night Court.
We're never going to knock the Shadow Court. We're always going to call it the Night Court.
I was just like, how to post my what is the name of it? I'm just going to call it Night Court.
The Shade Court.
It is, the Shade Court. So it was kind of cool that we kind of started learning about that, and it's like a really big deal that they were like, kind of like how the science of like the round is the equivalent of that. Like that, we're seeing the equivalent of all of those things, which I thought that was really cool. And then the other thing too that it was a little sad too. It was, we get a little bit more information on Natasha, and like she just didn't just leave Sel behind. She was pretty much forced to. We learned that she did try to go see him multiple times, but she was caught, and she was threatened that if you don't go away, we're gonna start hurting Sel. Like, so you need to step away. And it was Erebus, the one that kind of issued that threat. So it was just kind of sad because Sel feels like Natasha left him, but like she really had no choice, and it just, I don't know, it's just so sad because, it just created this whole trauma for Sel, but also for Natasha. And like, I feel like we haven't even seen a little bit of her life and background, we're just kind of starting to get these hints of like how traumatic her whole experience has been.
Yeah, this is now a trope that pisses me off that I've just realized is when a kid has two shitty parents, the mother always takes the brunt of the ire of the shittiness. So like Cell is so pissed at Natasha. Whenever we get a Natasia's perspective, he's trying to escape. He's like basically either he won't talk to her or he's like admonishing her for leaving him. But he never once mentions that he doesn't have a dad there either. And it's so annoying to me that I want to be like, she fucking tried. She's here right now trying to help you. Like she had reasons that you know about that separated her from you. And I feel like it's so common that the mother takes the beating and the shitty fathers. So like he could hate Nick Davis's dad just as much because that was his paternal figure and he beat the shit out of him and treated his son like shit. But we don't hear about any of his perspective on that. But he hates Natasha. I like annoys the shit out of me. It's like it's its own version of misogyny that pisses me off.
And I'm so mad that I didn't catch that. Oh my God, like the culturally like has just been put into our brains that is the woman that's going to carry all the fault that I just didn't even think about it. And you have just blown my mind.
Well, I didn't think about it either until you were talking about it. And I'm like, that's fucking annoying. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think that is it for this. Anything else that you want to talk about in part 2?
No, we have so much left to talk about in the book. Should we?
Oh my God. Yeah, let's wrap it up. All right. Thank you for listening to Literally Books, the podcast.
Where we say what we read.
And we mean what we say. Bye.